It wasn't that shocking when we saw this on social media from a bunch of people with no following, brand new accounts, where they just wanted to shit on Stan Lee so they could get a little attention, so they could get some followers on Twitter, and they can get some reactions out of people. It wasn't surprising. It was disappointing, but it wasn't surprising because there are miserable people in this world. But now we have someone that actually has a platform, and someone that constantly puts their foot in their mouth, shitting all over Stan Lee. Because Bill Maher is such a miserable human being that he sees that Stan Lee has had such an impact on this world. He sees that Stan Lee has had such a significant impact on our culture. And he realizes that on his best day, he will never become even an ounce of the man that Stan Lee was on his worst day. That's the realization that Bill Maher is coming to. So because of his own insecurities as a beta male, because that's exactly what he is, so because of his insecurities, he is now lashing out at Stan Lee because this is what beta males do. And so, this is the same guy who tries to be edgy, tries to be politically incorrect. But then the moment he says the wrong word or offends the wrong group of people, he has to have those people on his channel. They have to have, an intervention, and they talk down to him because he's a beta male. That's exactly what he is. So, Bill Maher disrespects Stan Lee's legacy and questions the importance of comic books. This is on comicbook.com. Boy, oh boy. All right, so controversial television personality Bill Maher is in hot water across social media for a blog post in which he questions the legitimacy of comic books as a medium, dropping Stan Lee's name and disrespecting the recently deceased in the process. In a post on his blog, Maher slammed Americans for quote unquote using their smarts on stupid stuff, and pointed out fans he thought were overreacting in the moments following Lee's passing. The guy who created Spider-Man and the Hulk has died, and America is in mourning, Maher wrote. Deep, deep mourning for a man who inspired millions to, I don't know, watch a movie, I guess. Someone on Reddit posted, I'm so incredibly grateful I lived in a world that included Stan Lee. You know what? Whoever posted that on Reddit is exactly right. I'm goddamn proud that I live in a world that had Stan Lee in it. I'm goddamn proud that I lived in a world that had this man's influence. Because like I said, on your best day, Bill Maher, you can't even become an ounce of the man that Stan Lee was on his worst day. You will never, ever, ever in this life or the next even resemble the monumental titan that this man was in life. And it drives you crazy. It drives you crazy that you, a pathetic human being that still can't deal with the fact that Trump won, is crying every night over something that happened 2 years ago. And now this man, who you are going to dismiss, has impacted millions and millions of people across generations and generations. And the fact that you've realized that you will never, ever come close to this is getting you to the point where you have to go attack this man after he passes away because of your jealousy. You are a pathetic piece of shit. Personally, I'm grateful I lived in a world that included oxygen and trees. Who the fuck doesn't appreciate that, Bill Maher, you white knight? Like, who doesn't appreciate oxygen, you dumb fuck? Who sits there and just says, yeah, I don't appreciate oxygen? Are you supposed to get a fucking medal because you appreciate oxygen? Are you serious right now? Are you trying to get credit for appreciating oxygen now? Is that how white knight you're going with this shit? Jesus Christ. Anyway, he says, but to each his own. Now, I have nothing against comic books. I read them now and then when I was a kid, and I was all out on Hardy Boys. But the assumption everyone had back then, both adults and kids, was that comics were for kids. And when you grew up, you moved on to big boy books without the pictures. And so basically what he's saying here is that there were too many, colleges created, so people that weren't smart enough to become professors became professors and dumbed it down, colleges and stuff like that. And now when adults are forced to do grown-up things like buy auto insurance, they call it adulting and act like it's some giant struggle. It's a goddamn joke, all right? It's a joke when people say that. Shut up, Bill Maher. The shock jock ended his spite-filled rant by saying Donald Trump would only be voted in as president in a place where comic books are important. While Maher's rant seemed to be focused on the past 20 years, it fails to take into fact any of the content or themes included in comic books since the introduction of the modern day comic. So of course, yes, Trump's fault. It all goes back to Trump. It all goes back to Trump. Oh my God, this guy. Do you understand how he does not understand? Anyway, let's see. Something that's come to light once again after the passing of Lee were his soapbox editorials that began surfacing in Marvel Comics as early as the 1960s. One of these soapbox pieces went viral again this week for very good reason. Published in 1968, Lee made a point to combat bigotry and racism while using his platform. The soapbox in question sees Lee use his platform to combat bigotry and racism, saying that comics are for all people of all shapes and sizes and colors. Lee continued using his platform to spread an anti-racism message nearly until the end. In a video posted last year, Lee reminded us we're all part of one big family. That man next to you, he's your brother, Lee said. That woman over there, she's your sister. And that kid walking by, hey, who knows? He may have the proportionate strength of a spider. We're all part of one big family, the human family. We all come together in the body of Marvel. And you're part of that family. You're part of the Marvel universe that moves ever upward and onward to greater glory. In other words, Excelsior. Lee passed away earlier this week at age 95. Fuck you, Bill Maher. You're a piece of shit. You are a garbage human being. You are beneath garbage. And the fact that you, a pathetic piece of trash, are using Stan Lee's passing to take another shot at Trump because you can't deal with the fact that this man destroyed all of your hopes and dreams because you have put your heads in the sand for so long. And now, I remember Ann Coulter, wasn't she on your show when you had a bunch of left-wing people on that show? And you all sat there and you're like, what Republican has the best chance to win? And she said, of the remaining candidates, Donald Trump. And everybody on that show laughed at her, made fun of her, and treated her like she was a complete fucking moron.
Okay, here we are. And which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones right now, Donald Trump.
Well, what about of all of them? I mean, Scott
fake
Walker?
Laughter from the audience.
And guess who's laughing now? We are. Because Bill Maher, you're a garbage human. You're a garbage human on every single possible level. And Stan Lee, his impact on this world will live on longer than any of us. And that pisses you off. And there's nothing you can do about it. Everyone have a great day except for Bill Maher. Bill Maher, go fuck yourself.